Yeah, good.
That's
all right.
a snoozer.
Well, if you wondered why the King's throne was empty here in the middle, our fifth chair, it's because Tim Alcorn, radio play-by-play guy for the Cavs, now occupies that's the hot seat. Welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
I like the hot seat better than the King's chair, I'll tell you that.
Well, they both apply. They both apply. So we've got a lot of questions about our Cavaliers. How do you feel they're coming into the playoffs? Do you think last night was a little odd, but how do you think they're trending into the playoffs right now?
Oh, I think they're in great shape going into the postseason. They're relatively healthy. I mean, Isaac and Jared missed last night, but they're playing good basketball. I think JB has settled in somewhat on the bench rotation. Donovan Mitchell is playing at an elite level right now. And to me, they're a playoff basketball team because they're built from the defense first. Mm-hmm. So I think they're in great shape heading into postseason.
Yeah.
Do you think I was complaining that Donovan Mitchell shot too much yesterday? I feel like they're better.
33 shots.
I feel like they're better when they're a little more balanced. I don't know. Am I crazy?
Well, Donovan is a volume scorer, so he's going to shoot the basketball.
Shots?
Well, he had 44 points, though. I mean, it wasn't as though he was throwing up bricks.
Not fair.
I mean, he shot 5 of 12 from beyond the arc last night. So sometimes when you're feeling it like that, and he was especially in the second half, when a guy's in a zone like that, especially an elite scorer, you just feed him the basketball.
I agree. I ain't got no problem with it. Pull up. You say that now, but wait till you get in playoff games and the game slow down and you need a bucket and only two guys that can put.
But see, you can't win with one guy doing everything in the playoffs, unless his name is LeBron.
I've seen, in the playoffs,
Arianes.
Closers take off. I've seen Curry. I've seen Jordan. I've seen them take over. Now, granted, he's not going to do that every game. I think it's a case-to-case scenario.
I love Donovan, but he ain't Curry, he ain't LeBron, he ain't Michael.
It feels like now, Tim, that they're probably settling into the 4. I mean, there for a while it looked like that's definitely where they were, and then all of a sudden they look up, and they're a game and a half behind Philly. Philly has the edge, so they have to finish a game better than them. But they're running out of time. Let's just assume for now that they sit in the 4, and right now the Knicks are in the 5. How do you see that matchup if that's the one we get in the first round? How do we match up against the Knicks?
I think that's a very intriguing matchup. And, of course, we may have a preview of that Friday night at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. But, usually, historically in the NBA, that 4-5 matchup is the most competitive in the first round. They're two generally evenly matched ball clubs, and I think you'll have that with the Cavaliers and the Knicks. Yeah. I think Donovan is the X factor in that series.
Yeah, definitely.
If it proves to be the case, New York's got their two big guys with Robinson and, of course, Randall. We've got ours with Jared and Evan.
Yeah.
Of course, you got point guard play with Brunson and Garland. I don't know if the Knicks have anybody that really matches up with Donovan Mitchell, aside from the fact that he'll just be fueled to play the New York Knicks in a first-round playoff series.
The Knicks have been great on the road for whatever reason. They're one of the few teams better on the road. You rarely see that in the NBA. And they're well coached, obviously. I think it should be a good series, but I expect the Cavs to win. If they don't, it's going to be a huge disappointment.
Well, I think it's huge that the Cavs will have home court advantage in the first round because you're talking about guys that have never tasted postseason basketball. Darius Garland, Isaac Okoro, Evan Mobley, and it's a whole different animal. Anybody that's been around NBA playoff basketball will tell you until you experience it, you don't really know what it's all about. So for the Cavs to kind of jump into that pool, at least they'll do it with the first 2 games at home to get acclimated to playoff pressure and what that entails. So I think it's going to be if it ends up being the Cavs and the Knicks, I think it would be a dogfight of a series.
Do you think that the young core guys, the Darius, the Evan, they've been playing well, but when they get to that postseason, are they able to go with Donovan? And do you think he can pull that out of them, that greatness that they need to be in the playoffs?
So it's a 2-part question. So I would say yes. I think the team recognizes that with Donovan having the playoff experience that he had with Utah, and certainly he's exemplified the fact that he can carry a basketball team on his shoulders if he has to. Yes, they will certainly say Donovan knows all about postseason basketball. He's the guy that can kind of lead us through the wilderness. On the flip side, the second part of your question, Donovan has displayed unbelievable leadership with the basketball team this year. And I think they'll lean on him as far as what playoff basketball is all about. I know those conversations have already started with Donovan and with DG and with Evan Mobley. That's why the acquisition of Donovan was so huge, because he's that veteran guy that has gone deep into the playoffs. And by the way, when he was with Utah, his playoff numbers went up in every single category over his regular season numbers. He scored more points per game, he had more rebounds per game, he had more assists per game when the Jazz got to postseason. So absolutely, I think they'll lean on him, and obviously his guidance will then lead the team in that first round.
The clock has officially struck noon, which means I have to remind everybody the lunch hour of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is sponsored by Colleague Racing, the official NASCAR team of Northeast Ohio. Back to Tim.
Tim, I know you mentioned the game Friday against the Knicks, and typically it's likely going to be meaningless in terms of jockeying, but I look at this as a game that they really do not want to lose, because you talk about the importance of home court. I feel like if both teams come out, play their starters, and play to win the game, and the Knicks walk out of here with a win, I think they come into the playoff series with the knowledge that we only got to take one at their place and hold serve. I think it's a huge game for the Cavs as they get ready to go in the playoffs. Am I overstating that?
I've never been a huge believer in statement games, those
Right.
type of things, especially when you're looking at a best-of-7 series. You know, maybe in football, where if you beat a team during the regular season and now you get them one time in the playoffs, you kind of made your statement earlier. Basketball is a little bit of a different animal. And by the way, I have a theory about home court advantage. I think the lower seeded team, if you want to use that word, I think they need to win 2. I'd like to look
In case you slip up at home.
Right.
Which most teams do.
And I'd like to look at that historically. I may get a hold of Elias.
Yeah, right.
And because I want to know
It
how
would
many
be interesting to see.
how many times has a lower seed won a best-of-7 series by only winning one on the road?
Yeah.
That they completely hold serve
Right.
on their home floor. I'd like to see the numbers in that. I think the Cavs could go into Madison Square Garden and grab a game.
Oh, no doubt. Oh, no
So
doubt.
now you're forcing the Knicks to win 2
Sure.
here at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. I'd like to see the historical numbers on
Yeah,
that.
I would too. I think it would be really interesting because the assumption is that you are going to hold serve at home, and that's a risky proposition. I mean, especially the Cavs don't do it. It'd be hard for the Knicks to do it
Who's
too.
the second guy they're leaning on? I've seen Mobley. He's looked.
He had a huge game
He's
last
looked
night.
tremendous.
Yes.
The louding stretch. But Darius Garland is the guy who has the ball the majority of the time. Which guy do you think is going to have the most impact besides Donovan Mitchell if they need a big shot or they need somebody to step up?
That's a great question, and I would think it's going to depend upon the matchup, and it's going to depend upon maybe who has the hot hand that night. Evan Mobley has really picked up his game since the first of the year. His repertoire on the offensive end of the floor has really expanded and really grown. So I don't think the Cavs would be uncomfortable having Evan be that second guy, and certainly DG has shown that he can step up and knock down big shots. And really, if you're the opposition with the Cavaliers backcourt, it's choose your poison. I mean, if you're going to chase Donovan Mitchell all over the floor and double team and trap him, you're taking your chances with DG. So I think Evan has really developed as that third guy who could also step into that second guy role if they really swarm the backcourt. So
It's a good problem to have.
yes, it is.
You've got
Yes, it
depth.
is.
You've got options.
Evan
Right.
Mobley last night was 1 block away from a quadruple nickel. I'm coining that term. I'm coining that term right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to catch on.
No?
It hasn't
Quadruple
yet.
nickel?
It hasn't yet.
I've heard stuff like that before. I don't like it, but I have heard stuff.
Quadruple nickel.
I don't think I'll be using that.
Come on, Tim. You'll be the first.
Yeah, well, I'd be the first and the last.
Yeah, you're
huh?
probably right.
Quadruple.
We have to fire you now.
So let me ask you this, because I always like to look ahead, and I know you shouldn't do this. You take one series at a time. I certainly hope the Cavs aren't doing this. But I like to look at, okay, so if you are in the 4, that means that if you do get past the Knicks and provided the Bucks the hold serve, then you start looking down the road. Is there a preference for you between Milwaukee and Boston? Who do you think? I'm not asking you who you think the better team is, because that'd be a different answer. Who does this Cavs team match up better against?
Well, I think if you look at the regular season, the Cavaliers have played the Celtics very, very well.
But all those wins were in overtime, weren't they?
Right, great games.
All of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as though Boston blew the Cavs out.
You're right.
I think it's a pretty even matchup with Boston. I think they can go toe-to-toe with Milwaukee, but Giannis is a whole different guy.
He's an animal.
Right. He is just an elite NBA player. And he's a tough matchup no matter who takes on Milwaukee. There's a reason Milwaukee's sitting number 1 in the Eastern Conference right
Yeah.
now. So, not that I have a preference, but I think if you look back on the regular season, the Cavs have shown we can battle, boss.
Hey,
That number 1 seed, I mean, right now Milwaukee's up 2.5 games. They've split their first 2. They're playing tomorrow night. So Milwaukee wins that game, it's over. They basically lock up the 1 seed. If Boston wins tomorrow, though,
It's in play.
they'd have the tiebreaker and only be down 1.5 games. So
Yeah.
then it would still be in
I'm
play.
telling you this, man. We getting kind of soft. I'm all for wishing minimal injuries on players in the playoffs. Giannis needs to
You
twist.
always bring it up, though.
Whoa.
can't be rooting for
Don't
injuries.
go there. I go there all the time.
He always brings that up. Always.
You
Who
think I
don't
care-
want to get
you
hurt on
think-
the other
You think
team?
I don't care about a sprained ankle? We've been trying to get you up out of here. Giannis, listen, if you happen to twist an ankle and you don't, it's not career ending.
I don't like karma like that.
Pull hamstrings. I love them to death, Giannis. Come on now.
I don't like
I don't either,
karma.
because then it starts happening. to your team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't
comes
want to
back
put that
on
out
you,
there.
Jay.
Hey, listen, I'm already the pin, dog. I didn't have enough
Okay.
injuries. Put it back on me. If it comes back on me,
I'm not
going-
saying you. I'm saying the Cavs.
So let me ask you, Tim, about JB Bickerstaff. You know, I think he's fairly a young coach. This will probably be one of his first. Is this his first postseason, or did he do it with? I don't think he did it with Memphis, right?
He was with Houston as their interim coach and got them to the
Okay.
postseason. He's gone deep into the playoffs as an assistant coach with Minnesota when Flip Saunders
Oh,
had
wow.
that team
Yeah.
with Kevin Garnett and
Okay.
that group. So I think JB is the perfect coach for this basketball team. He's a player's coach. He understands NBA basketball, having grown up in the game with his dad, Bernie Bickerstaff, who, of course, is a legendary
Right.
NBA coach. JB really has the pulse of the locker room. The players, I know it's a cliche, but I'll say it, they'd run through a wall for JB. I just think he's an outstanding coach, and the job that he has done to sell these guys on the defensive end of the floor. You got to remember when JB came on as the interim coach, when he replaced John Beilein, the Cavs were at the bottom of the league, the bottom in every defensive category. Now they're at the top. They're at the top of the league in defensive rating. They're at the top of the league in opponents' points per game. They're at the top of the league in holding opponents under 100 points. I think it's 23 times now. I mean, he has completely transformed the mentality. And when you're talking about a young basketball team, that's challenging.
That's usually the last piece that they get.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the outfit.
And to sell them on defense,
Yeah.
we're going to win with the defensive end of the
Yeah.
floor.
I think a lot of that, too, is Mobley came in, like, further along on defense than he was on offense, right, when he first came in the league. But when it comes to the Cavs, and I forgot what I was going to ask. I was
I've
stalling
got
there.
one. You think of it.
I was
I've got
stalling
one.
there.
That's okay. You
Yeah,
think of
go
it.
ahead.
I've got one.
I was trying to kill
Yesterday
time,
we
and I
talked
couldn't
about
think of it.
Karis LeVert and how he's found some mythical switch.
Stole it, huh?
Like we put his
It was
switch.
going to be who's going to be on the court at the end of the game.
Yeah, okay, well, you can answer that in a
Yeah.
second. I don't know if we still have those
That's
graphics, but
embarrassing.
these graphics really are stunning. We did this yesterday. When you look at his numbers from February to March, what the hell's gotten into him?
He took the braids
Did JB have a talk to him? Has he been challenged? These numbers aren't just statistical
Yeah.
anomalies. It's almost like somebody else inherited his body.
Yeah, I mean, doubled his points per game, about 9% in field goal percentage, doubled his three-point
Which is
percentage.
stunning.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I had a chat with Karis last night before the game down in Atlanta, and he said it's the best stretch of basketball that he's had in his career.
Wow. Is it confidence related, do you think?
I think so. I also think that physically, he's feeling as good as he's ever felt. You know, his name got tossed around during the trade deadline, and I think
I wondered if that was a wake-up call.
I don't know if it was a wake-up call, but I think he now feels like I'm here.
Right,
I'm
you
a
didn't have to
part
worry
of
about
this
it.
group.
Yeah.
You know, these guys are human beings just like we all are. And when you hear your name swirling around, as much as they get paid to play professional basketball and they understand the business of the game and trades are possible, when that trade deadline passes and you realize I'm a part of this team, I'm a part of this group, it takes some of that tension away. And boy, he's been thriving as of late. He's
been
played
great.
terrific basketball.
So, Tim, at the end of the game with the big four guys, is it him on the floor? Is it Rubio? Is it Lamar Stevens? Is it Okoro? Like, who's going to get those minutes at closing time in a tight game late?
Danny
So when
Green.
you say big four, Mitchell, Garland, Allen, Mobley?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it depends upon if the Cavs are on offense, if they're on defense.
Sure.
Generally, you'll see JB switch out Okoro in the game if the Cavs need to make a stop
Right, sure.
at the end of the game. If they need offense at the end of the game,
Yeah.
you'll see LeVert on the floor. We saw that in Brooklyn last Thursday night
Right.
when LeVert was on the floor, made the great basketball decision rather than hoisting up the shot, found Okoro in
It's a
the
hell
corner.
of a pass, too.
Great
I mean,
pass.
it's unreal.
And to have that presence of mind to look up and see that clock winding down,
Right.
but see Okoro in the corner and realize I still have time. So I think it's going to depend upon what the situation is in the game, whether they need offense, whether they need defense. And then generally, defensively, JB's been putting Isaac out there, who's a tremendous defensive player. And if they need a shot or a pass, it'll be either Rubio or LeVert. But I'm not JB, so put that,
it'd be interesting to see how
don't
he
put
does
that
at
in
the
stone.
end of the game. Go ahead,
Tim,
Mike.
I got a question for you. You see, or I guess at this point, you've seen almost every team in the league play at least once. So when you look at the landscape of the NBA today, it's more space and shoot threes than ever before. With the Cavs having two bigs in Allen and Mobley, who neither is a particularly efficient three-point shooter, do you think they can win a championship as currently constructed with two bigs who neither really stretches the floor to the three-point line?
Win a championship this year?
Just in general, with those two as pillars of the team, if they don't develop an outside shot.
Oh, I think the Cavs would readily admit they need a shooter. They need a pure shooter. So, not that I'm looking forward to the offseason already, but
Right.
Sure.
I think
No,
that
but that's the glaring light. That's been flashing all year, really.
Right.
We know that's where they've got to get better.
right. So, can they win an NBA championship without that pure shooter? I don't know. I think that's the need that they will address.
Yeah.
But believe me, they've got this core four that you alluded to. So it's not as though they got to revamp this thing.
Right.
They got to add a piece here or there, but for the most part, they're very, very close.
Do you think Mobley has the game to develop a better three-point shot?
I know he works on it
Yeah.
constantly. I'm at the practices. I'm at the shoot-arounds.
Yeah.
That's the last part of his game.
Yeah.
I think I always say the sky, if not the atmosphere, is the limit
How
for
much
Evan
bigger
Mobley.
do you think he can get? Like, does he, if he's going to battle with like a Joel Embiid, I mean, does he need to bulk up more? I mean, he's still so young.
Joel Embiid is a freak of nature.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
a
Yeah,
monster.
maybe that's unfair.
No,
But-
that's the extreme matchup. I mean, obviously he's got a long way to go before he gets to that. But just to go with your average big,
Yeah.
can he develop his body? Because it doesn't even look like he has his true man
But,
body.
but he's been lifting a lot.
Yes.
They say he's been putting in that work in the gym every single day. And it's hard to lift while you're still trying to maintain your body and maintain your stamina. But
And
he's
it-
lifting
and
every single day, getting stronger.
Your skeletal system, in large part, it is what it is.
Right, that's
I
true.
had a talk with Tristan McKenzie in Arizona about that. He'd love to be bigger, but he consumes all the food he can, and he can't get, your makeup is
There's a
what your
reason they
makeup
call 'em
is.
sticks.
That's it. Yeah. So I mean, my hope is
Poor
that because
Tristan
he's so
McKenzie.
young.
I wish I had that problem.
But you know what? Think about it. When you were 23, 24
Yeah.
years old, some guys grow into their man body late, where they get their chest and their shoulders, and I don't think Mobley's even
No.
to that point
Right.
yet.
So he could.
He's
get
still
bigger.
very young. He's a 21-year-old kid.
That's what we forget.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what we
Right.
forget.
I mean, he was only 19 years old when he was the
Right.
number 3 pick in the draft. And to your point, he's been living in the weight room. He has spent so much time in that weight room. So he's developing that upper body. He's developing that shoulder and chest area that you alluded to. And I think if you were to go back and look at a picture of Evan Mobley March 29th of last year to March 29th of this year, you'll
already
see
much bigger.
where he's filled out somewhat.
Tim, you see it in his game.
Yes.
When
Yes.
he gets the ball, last year he catches his ball, he's about 12 feet from the basket. Now he's getting the ball, and now he's not letting him root him out of the paint. Now he's close enough to shoot the baby hook. He's getting the ball facing, and now instead of them cutting him off there for 2-3 dribbles, he's to the rim, finishing strong. So you can see it where his positioning on the court and how he's finishing and driving the basketball shows that he's getting a little stronger as well.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I love that little baby.
I like that.
And
Yeah,
he
that
now
must be
he-
nice
Day when he
touch.
grabbed- Remember that play? I can't remember what game it was, where he grabbed like 4 rebounds in one possession.
And he kept throwing it out.
Yeah, and he kept kicking it
And they
out.
would miss 3 balls, and
Right.
finally he said, "To heck with this, I'm just jamming this miss home."
What team was that? I don't know.
That was the Rockets game Sunday.
It was
You
against
have a stat on
I
Mobley.
do. Hey, take tag word full here, Steve. Check out this Evan Mobley stat that Cavs Notes just posted a second ago. Last night, Evan Mobley became just the 3rd player in NBA history to finish with 20 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 blocks, 1 steal, and no turnovers. Pretty elite company.
Wow.
Shaquille O'Neal
That
and
is.
Wow.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
I think you should have just called it one shy of a quadruple nickel, but whatever.
Please.
That's a hell of a line, though,
Yeah.
guys. And look at the
And
company
no
he's in.
turnovers.
By the way, I heard somebody talking about this. I think it was Kendrick Perkins was talking about it. He said that when you look at
Perkins don't know his ass from his elbow.
Well, I mean, he knows big people. He's big. And I agree with him when he said about this.
okay.
He said, look, hey, the way Evan Mobley plays defense, he said Evan Mobley can guard 5 positions. If you switch on a pick and roll, he's not going to lose anything with a guard. He can drop back. He covers for big. And the thing that makes him devastating is he contests almost every single shot without fouling. He's only averaging like 2 fouls per game. And he said, you know how hard it is to contest? 3 or 4 of the panelists was like, look, he should not only get some votes for Defensive Player of the Year, but they think he could possibly be on one of the 3 all-defensive teams. In terms of the Cavaliers' defense, do you think Mobley and Allen can take it to another level in the playoffs? Because they've already been great.
Absolutely. If you know in the history of NBA postseason basketball, it slows down.
Right.
It becomes
Every
possession by possession by possession. You don't see the pace. You don't see the fast break basketball game by game, especially as the teams adjust to one another.
It turns into chess.
Yes, it does in a 7-game series. So that's the beauty. That's why I think, as I mentioned earlier, the Cavs are built for postseason basketball because of that twin tower aspect with Allen and Mobley. And you talked about Evan being able to go out and defend all 5 positions. When Jared's in the middle, Jared is, to me, the linchpin of the defense. It all revolves around Jared because Jared has that paint protection, rim protection for the Cavs. That allows Evan to get out on the wing, use that athleticism and that size to defend a 3-ball, use his athleticism to chase around a guard if he has to. JB's not bashful about putting Evan Mobley on a small if he has to because he has that athleticism and that ability. So absolutely, I think that combo is going to be a matchup nightmare for the opposition.
What a luxury that is.
Absolutely.
It's a huge luxury to
Tim,
have.
who is the leader of the team and who is the heart of the team? Is it the same guy?
Wow, that's a good question. I think the guys look to Donovan because of the fact that he has the experience that he has and he carries himself so well. So I would think Donovan, from my perspective, I don't want to answer for the guys themselves, but I think he's the leader of the team. And what was your second part?
The heart of the team.
The heart of the team. That's a good question.
I mean, isn't that often, though, the same person?
Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is.
I don't know why. You know it better than me, but for me, it feels like Jared Allen is the heart of the team. I don't know why. I'm not even sure why
Well,
I say that.
I think he plays a much more critical role than people give him credit for.
He's the forgotten guy of the 4.
If you look back to last season, Cavs are riding high. They would have been in the playoffs rather than the play-in if Jared doesn't get hurt.
Right.
Their one-loss record with Jared on the floor compared to Jared not on the floor is pretty dramatic.
Right.
And so, I don't know if I want to use the term heart of the team, but he's a real overlooked aspect as far as the success of the team is concerned.
I definitely. When I look at when I look at Donovan Mitchell, I think to me he's the best 2-guard in the league for my money, because what you'll see is in the playoffs, you on the road. You're going to look for somebody. You might get hit in the mouth and you get down by 10 or 12 points. And you need that one guy to say, oh, no, we're not going to get blown out of here. I'll hit a couple shots, keep us in them. And I think the Cavs will be they'll find out the luxury of having a guy who does not change his mentality on the road and at home. Jetty and the rest of the guys and Lamar Stevenson may not give you that. But I think when you talk about Donovan Mitchell, he gives you something different where you can say, hey, we'll stay in this game until everybody can catch up a little bit.
Absolutely. I think he did that last night. You were talking about his shot volume last night.
Right, yeah.
But I think he did that.
They needed
realizing
somebody to be that guy.
They needed somebody to kind of take over and put the team on his back. Interesting note, Donovan last night with another 40-plus game. That's 10 40-plus games he's had for the Cavs this year. His 5 years in Utah total, he had 9.
Wow, and doesn't that 10 either tie or break LeBron's record for the most 40-point games?
I think
thought
so.
he tied it. I think he tied
That's
it.
tied
But think
LeBron.
about the fact
Yeah,
in
tied
one
LeBron.
season with the Cavs, he
That's
surpassed.
That is amazing. 5 years.
Particularly when you consider the talent that's here.
So Rudy
It's not like the
Gobert-
cupboard's bare and he has to score 40 a night.
Look at this. Third most ever for an NBA player in his first season with the team behind Wilt and Walt Bellamy.
That's crazy.
That was a long time ago.
Look at Wilt's number.
That is crazy.
32
scored.
times. 32 times. He said, roll him out there and give him 40.
Wilt is a cheat code.
And it's really impressive that he's
Was
a
the cheat
guard. I didn't think look, I say it all the time. I watch him play, and I watch a decent amount of basketball, right? And I didn't think he was this good. I did not think he was this good.
Donovan?
Donovan Mitchell was hiding in plain sight out in Utah.
Yeah.
They just didn't get the national exposure. You don't see, or even when they were really good with Donovan and Gobert, you didn't see him on TNT
No,
and ESPN.
They're not a sexy draw. They weren't.
Right. And so they play on the West Coast per se in Utah.
right, yeah.
So you don't see them a lot even on SportsCenter. The games weren't over by 11 o'clock. So this guy is racking up some All-Star appearances. But to your point, you're like, yeah, he's pretty good. And then you see him night in, night out, and you're going, holy smokes, he's an elite player. He really is.
I mean, the 71 points, it was like.
Yeah, you're not doing that without having that gear. I certainly hope that everybody gets to see more of them and not less in the play. Like, to your point earlier, it's going to feel like a letdown that the season didn't meet expectations if they don't win that first series.
Right, and then if they do, it's all gravy from there.
I think so too,
I
because
agree with
it's
that.
it's just the idea of having these young kids go through the paces of not playing the same team back to back to back to back, but getting that opportunity twice. Because as you know, Tim, in the NBA, nobody goes from here to here. There's steps that you have to go through. And last year they
Unless
took
you
that
get
first
LeBron.
baby step, but they didn't even really get into the playoffs. Now they're here. It'd be nice if they could take a second step this year, so they add that shooter that we talked about, and now you can actually envision them saying, yeah, this team's built to make a deep run into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, to Jay's point, like, let's say they beat the Knicks, lose a 6-game series to Milwaukee. You add a really good shooter. Now next year we're thinking, well, maybe they can win a title.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
Why not?
depending on who that shooter is, but
Well, I always go ahead.
No,
I'm
go ahead,
sorry.
go ahead.
Well, I always like to play the if I had told you game.
Yeah.
So if I had told you back
Oh, yeah,
in
we'd take
training camp and preseason, hey, the Cavs are going to finish with the 4th seed, and they're going to get a home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs. Would you have taken that?
That's where I picked.
Yeah.
I picked-
Right.
I
So,
picked them to win.
so I don't think. Believe me, I want them to win. I hope they go as far as they can go. But even if they were to get beat in the first round, I don't consider that a major disappointment, because I think in the big picture, the organizational goal was let's avoid that play-in, which meant top 6.
Sure.
I mean, if you get top 4, it's
They've
gravy.
definitely taken a step forward.
Oh, there's no doubt.
I think in the beginning of the year, my expectations have changed now, so I would be disappointed personally, especially if let's say they got hammered in this series. I don't think that's likely, but if it did happen,
I think that would be a disappointment. If they were losing
Right.
5 or something like that to the
yeah,
Knicks.
that would be.
You know,
I'll be disappointed personally, fair or unfair.
They
I'll be
added an
disappointed.
elite player.
Yeah.
So you expect
I
them
want
to
them to
take
win one round.
a jump. And
Right.
But
if
no
that's-
way you could expect them to beat Milwaukee. I mean, there's no way.
No,
you can't expect
it's house
that.
money
I can
after the
see
Knicks
it, man.
series.
There's a big difference. You can see it and expect it.
I don't expect it, but
Yeah,
I can
you
see
can't
it.
expect
Oh, I can see them beating anybody.
No.
I can see them beating Boston or Milwaukee.
That's the fun.
I can.
Is that the fun part about this team? Because you get to watch them as they grow, and you know they got enough talent to compete. So you're saying, hey, if they get past the first round, it's all house money.
Who
You
knows?
you get to enjoy them games, right?
Well, me personally, it's been a real joy to watch them grow, because I'm now in my 4th season.
Right.
Darius and I are on the same track. He's in his 4th season as well.
Nice.
His level has gone way up. But
As well as his pay.
oh yeah, that's for sure. But my first year was the 19-win season, and then my second year was 22. So to watch this team last year jump to 44, and now this year, absolutely, it's a joy to watch those guys really develop. And it goes back to, as I mentioned earlier, with J.B. Bickerstaff, and to see the role that he has played in really nurturing these guys and allowing them to flourish. It's a lot of fun.
Going
Absolutely.
to all the sites that you have, what in your mind is the single most difficult building to win in?
Wow, that's a great question. Well, it's ironic that even though I'm in my 4th year, there were arenas that I saw for the very first time this year.
This year, right.
Yeah, because of COVID and all that. So you're talking just East or NBA in general?
NBA in general, but you can, if you want to go East and West, and whose building is toughest?
That's a great question. I mean, listen, even with the first round series coming up, that MSG is a tough place to play.
It can be.
There's an aura. You
And I
just
think those fans
feel-
are going to be rabid because they're just dying for success there.
Absolutely.
They've got a couple of decades of frustration that's pent up.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough place to play. Boston's a tough place to play. The ones that always seem to garner the attention, Milwaukee.
Yeah. Oracle used to just be
Yes, but
ridiculous.
even the
new one's not the same.
they're not really on top of
Right,
you.
but still they make noise.
Yes, they do.
They make
That's
noise.
a tough place to play, and Denver is as well.
Do you have a go-to pizzeria? Can I advise you when you go to New York?
Advise me, please.
I mean, if you're willing to go to Brooklyn, you got to go to DeFara's, which is the best pizzeria in Brooklyn.
There's a 20-minute
Really?
answer here, Tim. Just be ready.
What's the matter?
It's a 20-minute answer. He'll give you a whole
I
monologue.
mean, I can
about
give you a
pizza.
place everywhere, but DeFara's Pizza in Brooklyn on Avenue M and East 15th Street, I believe. is
Now,
the
when
place
we
to go.
play the Nets, we
Yeah,
actually
not that
stay
one.
in Brooklyn. We don't
Right.
stay in Manhattan.
Well, where do you stay in Brooklyn? What part of Brooklyn do you know? Near where the Nets are? Like, that's
Literally, the hotel is right next to the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah, right.
You walk
okay.
out of the hotel and
That-
you walk
we-
under the bridge.
For people like me that grew up in Brooklyn, we call that New Brooklyn. That's where all the people that grew up in other parts of the country move. Where
That's
I
the
grew up-
yuppie Brooklyn.
I grew up in old school Brooklyn where only people from Brooklyn live. It's not
And that's where you
sexy.
find the good pizza
Well,
too.
Brooklyn by the way, Brooklyn by itself would be the 5th largest city in America, if you think
Wow.
about that.
That's
how
crazy.
big it is, population-wise.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and so getting to DeFara's is inconvenient, I will say that. But
worth
Joe's
the-
on
worth the
Bleecker
trip.
Street. That's in Manhattan. It's a takeout place, quick in and out.
Yeah, I've been to that one.
That's a great place.
Really good. Go ahead.
So if we play the Knicks in the first round, what's the place?
I would say DeFara's.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to go over to Brooklyn.
Yeah, he's not
if
going to
I'm
go to
playing
Brooklyn.
the
Give
Knicks.
him a place in
Go to Joe's on
Midtown. Give him a place. Yeah,
Go to
that's a
Joe's
good
on
one.
Bleecker.
Yeah.
Joe's
Walk
on
down.
It's a little downtown from.
Are you saying that the trip to the pizza place is worth it?
I say it is. For me, depends how much.
For Bull,
you
it's
love
worth it
pizza.
to go from here to there.
All you got to do is walk through 3 sketchy neighborhoods by yourself.
That's
I'll
basically
tell
what
you,
it
underrated
is.
steakhouse in New York, not far from the Garden, called Old Homestead. You ever been there?
No. I bet you have.
I definitely have. You got me figured out.
This man,
I'm telling you.
Food is priority one.
Oh, I'm
Food's my
stunned
thing.
by that.
Food's-
This man was like,
my
I ain't been
thing,
to all the
baby.
arenas.
Old
And then he said,
Homestead.
you've been in this restaurant.
Go-to place.
McNuggets.
Tim,
thanks, man.
Thank
you.
I mean,
Great,
great
man.
having you
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, thank
Great
you, man.
insight. Really,
Let's go
really good
Cavs.
insight.
Let's get it.
Yeah,
I
let's
can't
go.
wait for the playoffs.
Get that series
I'm
win.
done with the regular season. Let's get to the playoffs.
Yeah, no,